In the spring of 2024, Alysa Liu was 2 years into her retirement from competitive figure skating. She was at UCLA. She had her driver's license. She was climbing to Everest Base Camp and making new friends and living the life of a normal 20-year-old for the first time since she was 8 years old. And she was listening to music. The song she had on repeat, the one that sat in her top listens for nearly 2 full years of retirement, was Promise by Laufey. The song opens with the lyrics, "I made a promise to distance myself." And Alysa Liu, who had made exactly that promise about the ice rink, who had walked away from a sport she loved because it had taken more from her than she could give, listened to that song for 2 years in the space between who she had been and who she was becoming. She came back to skating in 2024. She chose Promise as the music for her short program. She skated to it at the U.S. Championships, at the World Championships in Boston where she won the title, and at the 2026 Milan Winter Olympics where it became the soundtrack to the most-watched figure skating short program in a decade. She won the Olympic short program to Promise. She won the world title to Promise. The song that had kept her company in retirement became the song she skated to gold. When Laufey found out that Alysa Liu wanted to be in the Madwoman music video, she said, "Do you understand what this means for my 8-year-old figure skating heart?" That sentence. From a Grammy-winning artist who had just played Coachella to hundreds of thousands of people. About a figure skater from Oakland. Is the beginning of the full story of why Madwoman is the most intentional piece of Asian American cultural art released in 2026. Let us start with Laufey herself because her specific identity and her specific place in music in 2026 is essential context for understanding why every casting decision in Madwoman was deliberate. Laufey is Icelandic Chinese. She was born in Reykjavik to an Icelandic father and a Chinese mother. She grew up playing classical piano and cello. She is 25 years old. She won the Grammy for Best Traditional Pop Vocal Album for A Matter of Time at the 68th Grammy Awards in February 2026, her second Grammy in that category. The first was for Bewitched at the 2024 awards, which made her the youngest artist ever to win that honor. In January 2026 she was presented with the Order of the Falcon, Iceland's prestigious national knighthood, by the Icelandic president. She played Coachella on April 12. The day before Madwoman dropped. She is, in 2026, one of the most accomplished and most critically respected young musicians alive. Her music exists in a space between jazz and indie pop and classical composition that defies easy genre categorization and has found an audience of tens of millions of people who were not necessarily looking for jazz but found something in her sound that connected to them anyway. And she is half Chinese. And that specific part of her identity is something she has been thinking about her entire career. About what it means to make music that reflects the full picture of who she is. About what it means to exist in Western music spaces as someone whose face and heritage do not always fit the default assumptions of those spaces. Laufey said growing up she felt a general lack of representation for people who looked like her in music and media, and that with the Madwoman video she wanted to be that representation, calling the result her absolute dream video and exactly what younger Laufey would have loved to see. That statement is the foundation of everything the Madwoman video is doing. Now let us talk about the casting. Because every person in this video was chosen with complete intentionality and the specific combination of them says something that no single person could say alone. The music video features Liu, Williams, Tung, and Skiendiel starring alongside Laufey, all of whom are of both white and East Asian descent. Not coincidentally. By design. Every person in that video carries the same specific dual heritage. Icelandic Chinese. Half Asian American. Biracial with East Asian roots. The casting is a statement before a single frame of the video plays. Alysa Liu is half Chinese through her mother. Olympic gold medalist. The most followed winter sport athlete in Instagram history. The woman whose face is on a mural in Oakland and whose striped hair has been replicated by thousands of fans across America. Hudson Williams is the breakout star of Heated Rivalry, the sports drama that has been one of the most watched new shows of 2026. He is biracial, with East Asian heritage, and his casting in the video connects the world of film and the world of music and the world of sport in one frame. Lola Tung is the star of The Summer I Turned Pretty, one of the most streamed series of the past 3 years. She is of Chinese and American heritage. Her audience is enormous and skews toward exactly the Gen Z demographic that Laufey and Liu are both speaking to simultaneously. Megan Skiendiel is a member of KATSEYE, the 6-member global pop group formed through a partnership between Hybe and Geffen Records that has been one of the most watched new acts in music. She is Filipino and American. Director Warren Fu commented that the music video reimagines the American dream as something more inclusive. And then he made a video that puts 5 people of mixed Asian and Western heritage in a 1960s American pool party setting, surrounded by mid-century Americana imagery, and lets their presence in that setting do the arguing for itself. They belong there. They have always belonged there. The video does not say this with words. It says it with images. The visual language of the Madwoman video deserves its own moment because it is more carefully constructed than most music videos released by artists at Laufey's level. Filmed in Los Angeles in March 2026, the music video was inspired by the works of Slim Aarons and evokes the styles of mid-century Americana and Hong Kong. Slim Aarons was a photographer whose work defined a specific vision of mid-century American affluence. Pool parties in Palm Springs. Sun-drenched California afternoons. Beautiful people in a glamorous America that looked like it was made for them. His photographs are in every design magazine and every aspirational interior. They are shorthand for a certain version of American leisure and American beauty that is immediately recognizable. And that version of America has historically not included the faces in the Madwoman video. The Slim Aarons aesthetic is an aesthetic built around a specific demographic. What Laufey and Warren Fu are doing is taking that aesthetic, that visual language of American aspiration and ease and glamour, and populating it with faces that look like theirs. They are not critiquing the Slim Aarons world from outside it. They are placing themselves inside it and claiming it as theirs too. Simultaneously, the video evokes Hong Kong. The specific visual culture of mid-century Hong Kong cinema and photography, which is itself one of the most glamorous and most distinctive aesthetic traditions of the 20th century. The combination of those two reference points, Palm Springs and Hong Kong, mid-century California and mid-century East Asia, is the visual argument the video is making. These things belong together. These identities belong together. The American dream and the East Asian aesthetic tradition are not opposites. They can exist in the same frame, at the same pool party, in the same golden California afternoon. Now here is the layer that makes Alysa Liu's specific presence in this video more meaningful than any other casting choice could have been. She skated to Promise. For 2 years in retirement she listened to Promise. She came back and chose it as her program music. She won the Olympics to it. And then the artist who wrote that song, who she had been listening to alone in her apartment during the hardest years of her life, cast her in a music video. The Madwoman video is the continuation of a relationship between Alysa Liu and Laufey's music that started before either of them knew the other would ever be in the same room. Promise kept Alysa company when she was not sure she was coming back. And Laufey's reaction when she found out Alysa would be in Madwoman, "Do you understand what this means for my 8-year-old figure skating heart?" is the reaction of someone who has been a figure skating fan her whole life, watching the athlete who chose her music win an Olympic gold medal with it. That is not a brand activation. That is not a calculated cultural crossover. That is two creative people from similar places of mixed heritage and complicated identity finding each other at the exact moment when both of them are at the peak of their visibility and making something together that reflects who they both are. Details of the collaboration were teased on April 7, 2026 when Laufey posted a TikTok video with Liu dancing to the Pink Pantheress and Zara Larsson song Stateside. The clip spread immediately. The trailer for the full video garnered more than 700,000 views in the 3 days before the full release. 700,000 views for a trailer. For a music video. Before it had even dropped. Because the audience that Alysa Liu built across the previous 75 days was paying close attention to everything she did, and a TikTok of her dancing with Laufey was not something they were going to miss. The song itself deserves a moment because the lyrical content of Madwoman is not incidental to what Laufey is doing with the video. Madwoman is about the experience of being told you are too much. Too emotional. Too loud. Too difficult. The specific experience of having your legitimate feelings dismissed as madness because they are inconvenient for someone else. It is a song about reclaiming the label. About wearing Madwoman as a description of someone who refuses to be smaller than she actually is. And the video places 5 women and 1 man of mixed Asian and Western heritage in the center of the most quintessentially American imagery imaginable and lets them be completely, unapologetically present in it. Not asking permission. Not explaining themselves. Just there. At the pool party. In the sunshine. As beautiful and as glamorous and as fully themselves as the people those images were originally built around. Madwoman. You are too much. You are too loud. You do not belong in this image. And then Laufey and Alysa Liu and Lola Tung and Hudson Williams and Megan Skiendiel are in the image. Completely. Fully. Without apology. The timing of the Madwoman release is worth noting because it says something about where Alysa Liu's cultural presence sits in May 2026. The video dropped April 13th. Laufey had played Coachella the day before. She was at the peak of her own visibility, performing in front of hundreds of thousands of people at one of the most watched music festivals in the world. And the video she chose to release the morning after Coachella was the one with Alysa Liu in it. Not a solo video. Not a video that put Laufey at the center and used her collaborators as background. A video built around an ensemble where every cast member was chosen for the specific identity they carry and the specific argument their presence makes. She could have released any of the 4 new tracks from the deluxe album in any order with any creative direction. She chose Madwoman. She chose this cast. She chose this director. She chose this visual language. Liu's Instagram followers had jumped from around 150,000 to 8.2 million in the months since the Olympics. Laufey is not naive about what Alysa Liu's presence in a music video does for its reach. But she is also not cynical about it. The two things can be true simultaneously. This is good for the video's visibility, and it is the right creative choice, and it is a genuine reflection of what both of these artists believe about representation. All 3 are true. The video is evidence of all 3. Do you understand what this means for my 8-year-old figure skating heart? She was not speaking as a music executive calculating reach. She was speaking as a person who grew up watching figure skating the way millions of people grow up watching the sports that mean something to them. Who saw in Alysa Liu something that connected to a part of herself that had been watching those performances for years. And who now got to make something with that person that reflected both of them fully. That is the Madwoman video. That is why it matters. That is why 700,000 people watched the trailer before the full release and why the full release spread everywhere the day it dropped. 2 artists. 1 pool party. A 1960s California afternoon that looks like Slim Aarons photographed it in Hong Kong and Oakland and Reykjavik all at the same time. The American dream. As something more inclusive. That is what younger Laufey would have loved to see. That is what younger Alysa Liu, listening to Promise alone in her apartment during 2 years of retirement, probably would have loved to see too. They made it. Together.